Hey everybody, this is graphic designer Roberto Blake, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about the things they don't teach you. In fact, 5 specific things they don't teach you in graphic design school. So while I know I've been out of school for a long time now, since I'm 30, I still have my finger on the pulse of what is going on in design schools. I actually talk with a lot of design students, both through the channel and otherwise, both in life and in social media. My brother is in school to be a graphic designer right now, so it's not as if I don't know what's going on and what you guys are and are not being taught in most cases. There will obviously be exceptions to the rule here. But here are the 5 things that I'm finding that you guys are not learning in graphic design school. I'm going to be addressing those things here on the channel and a little bit in this video, but in most cases, I've already talked about a lot of these topics at length, and I think that they'll still be helpful for you. So make sure you're subscribed and that you're checking out all the different graphic design playlists here on the channel to get that information. So here are the 5 things you guys are probably not learning in design school that you absolutely need to be learning. How to actually get a job as a graphic designer. Now, I know you probably think that, okay, well, you got your degree, you've got a portfolio, they had you do a resume, that's it, right? You should be able to go out, go get interviews, apply to job boards. If you've been looking at social media and participating in graphic design forums, which you absolutely should, which they're probably not telling you to do that, but that's a whole nother topic, then you would know that people are doing that and not finding jobs and not being able to get jobs as graphic designers with just their college degree. When I was hiring at the ad agency I worked at, I had to turn away people from some of the top design schools in the country. We're talking Pratt, Parsons, FIT, School of Visual Arts. They would not be able to handle the job walking into an ad agency and deliver for the clients. They absolutely were just not going to be able to do that. And that's not a jab at them. That's not a knock on them. They were still very talented, great professional young men and women. They just did not have the skills to qualify or command a certain salary or to be expected to do the work. Hiring them would be setting them up for failure because there's things that they just didn't learn and understand, both on the technical side, on the career side. They didn't understand how to pitch. They didn't understand how to promote themselves. They didn't understand how to research beforehand and prepare a portfolio that would match the job requirements. They just didn't know how to do any of those things. So what you're not learning sometimes is what employers in the job market, what senior designers who are going to be interviewing you, what art directors, what creative directors, you're learning what your professor might want from you in terms of how to grade you and what their personal tastes are and what they think should be in a portfolio and how many pieces they need to see before they can make a decision about you. You're not learning about what an employer putting real money on the table is going through and the anxiety that they're feeling. So imagine that I'm going to hire you to be a graphic designer, and imagine that we do amazing client work. Imagine that we do billboards and we get $20,000 and $50,000 to deliver a great billboard for a company that's going to bring them, $1 million in business that year. That's a lot of pressure. What I need from you is to show me as much work and create as much value and be as confident as possible when you're presenting to me in order for me to say that I can put a job like that on your shoulders and in your hands. If you're not confident, if you're not articulating yourself very well, if your communication skills are lacking, that's going to translate very poorly. If I find that you don't have skills in print production, how much time can I lose to train you? A lot of you are going into this thinking that, well, I'll get on the job training and they'll, help me out and that's part of it. And within a month, 2 months, I'll be up to speed. Every day that you're having to be trained, the company is losing money. And on some level, they expect that. But you need to mitigate that loss. That's something that I'm sure a professor has not told you yet, and that's not a knock on them. They have so much to teach and educate you on in a short period of time that teaching you, and they may not have awareness of this, what someone in the hiring chair, what someone in the entrepreneur chair, what someone in the business world wants and needs and expects from a designer is a whole different level of pressure and category and a whole level of anxiety that you have to overcome. You literally have to make people feel comfortable. You practically have to seduce them into giving you a job. And I don't mean that literally. Do not get anybody into legal troubles with that or anything like that. I mean that you have to literally make them trust you, like you, feel confident in you, and find that you are desirable in terms of filling the position and delivering. And if you can't do that, you can't land a job, and many of you are not prepared to do that. So my advice is learn the skills of salesmanship. Some of you have had retail jobs before, and you'll be able to use that psychology and the psychology of selling to help you get through an interview and be very successful. You'll use that to help you land clients. That's going to be very helpful for you. If you've never had a retail job that was a commission sales job, you don't know how to do that yet. You don't know how to be a champion for a customer, solve a problem, find a solution, and make them grateful to hand you their money. You haven't learned that skill yet, and that lacking is what's going to damage your career. And if your professors aren't instilling you that in some level, you need to be auditing marketing and business classes in addition to your graphic design classes. This goes into our second point, how to get clients. Not all of you are going to want to work for an ad agency. Not all of you are going to want to work for a magazine. Not all of you are going to want to work for an in-house agency. Some of you are going to want to be marketing mercenaries and go out there running and gunning as a freelancer. And your professors aren't necessarily preparing you for that because they may not believe in it, they may not see the value in it. But understand this, that you don't even have to be the most successful freelancer in the world to scale to 6 figures. If you think about it, doing that would mean taking on 10 clients a month at $1,000 a project. That might sound extraordinary to you because you're a student, but that's because you don't yet understand the value of some of the work that you're going to be producing, and you're not thinking that you'll have clients with those budgets. If you have a web design client and you happen to be a web designer, those projects scale from anywhere from, they could be lowball, they could be somebody small, mom and pop that wants to do an $800, $500 website, or they could be a small startup business that has $1,200 to $2,500 to invest in it. So right there, if you were able to get 4 of those, that's your 10 grand for a month. If you have a system for replicating that, you scale to 6 figures before the end of the year. You don't know to align yourself with a marketing company that can feed your pipeline as a designer and will bring clients to you to handle the visual end, and they just mark up your services. You don't know to build that relationship yet because no one's telling you that. I'm telling you that though. And that's why you need to be subscribed to this channel. Not for my sake, but because I'm trying to help you build in your graphic design career and understand what it takes to really be successful. And I'm trying to solve your problems. That's why I'm delivering for you. That's the value that I'm creating. Demonstrate and create value for your clients. This is what is the secret that is lost on so many designers. They think that all they have to do is create quality work, and that's true. Quality work trumps everything, but what is quality work? It's quality work when it delivers on the needs of the client, not when it's quality work because you just feel good about it or because you're able to do your style and do what you wanted to do, but it solved the problem of the client or their audience or their customer or their clients. Which brings me to my next point, understanding how to market yourself. Understanding how to market yourself means understanding how to communicate, how to storytell, and as a graphic designer, you intuitively know how to do that for other people, but when it comes to yourself, I find that many graphic designers, they can do amazing work for their clients, but they are less than amazing when it comes to marketing and promoting and branding themselves. And this is so very important. This is absolutely important, and it's the biggest mistake that most graphic designers make in their career. And this doesn't just apply to freelancers. You need to be doing this as an in-house designer or agency designer as well, because you need to be constantly upping your game and upping your value so that if you need to move on to another job, you can command a higher salary, not a lower one, not the same one, just because the economy shifts. Or so that one day you can scale and go to a higher position so that you're not just a designer. Maybe one day you become a head of an art department. Maybe one day you become a studio manager. You need to be positioning yourself for that and have a plan. And that plan includes marketing yourself, learning how to toot your own horn without sounding arrogant or presumptuous or pretentious, and knowing who you need to be speaking to and who you need to be speaking with, how to network, all these things that you're probably not learning. You might be learning the basics of Photoshop, you're learning Gestalt Uniforming Principles, you're learning about the Bauhaus, you're learning about letterpress, and you're learning about all these other things, which some of them are great and some of them are archaic, but you're not learning how to sell. You're not learning how to sell yourself, and at the end of the day, all that tremendous knowledge is for naught when you're staring at student loan debts and you can't either get clients or get an employer to get you out of the hole. And it's going to come down to salesmanship. You're going to have to put in the work there as well, and if you're not learning how to do it, you need to be. Let's talk to a more lighter point here. How to find inspiration. One of the things that designers often struggle with is how to get over creative blocks and how to discover inspiration and how to do that without necessarily copying anyone. Now, first of all, you have to get past your own idea that anything quote unquote original, truly original exists. You may have never seen it. Someone might have done it 1,000 years ago. Whatever idea you have, someone's had it. There's 6.7 billion people in the world right now. And yeah, some of them are toddlers, but I'm sure at some point someone had the same idea as you. I can't tell you how many times I've drawn or sketched something or wrote something down or had a conversation with somebody, and then 2 years later I'm watching the movie. It happens. So again, in terms of inspiration, stop thinking about it. Walk away from it. And I do whole videos on inspiration and where you can find it. Magazines, movies, books, music. The thing is, you don't think outside the box when you put yourself in a cubicle. So get out there, experience the world. The world's gonna be your greatest inspiration, and getting out of your own head and getting out of your usual environment is gonna be the best thing you can do. And again, I don't know that that's advice that you've gotten so far. Finally, last point, how to be successful as a graphic designer. I know that the whole point of college for you probably was to learn how to be successful as a graphic designer, but ultimately it wasn't. It was to give you the basic prerequisite skills to eventually become successful. You don't become successful as a graphic designer without understanding who is already successful as a graphic designer. You need to be looking at Graham Smith, David Arie, Jacob Cass. You need to look at designers that you admire and respect their work. And if you don't know the names of some of these people, Milton Glacier, Saul Bass, but again, some of those are older. You have much more modern examples like Radom Malinek, Karen Maris, Karen Cavett, myself. There are a ton of graphic designers that are more relevant to you today that you can scale to be as successful as, and that you can learn from them and their example. And their stories are more open, I would say, because of the fact that those other people I talked about, that was the area pre-YouTube and pre-internet and all those things aside from David Arie. And there may not be as much content out there for you to experience what their personality, their quirks, and learn about them and their work and their style. So you'll be reading Wikipedia entries, and it's not quite the same thing. So regardless of who you want to learn about successful graphic designers, learn what the gap is between you and them, and figure out a strategy and a plan for closing that gap. Anyway, I hope this video was informative. I hope you guys were educated and entertained by it, and that you now have an idea of some things that you're not learning in graphic design school. If you still have questions or comments, or you have some ideas of other things that you're not learning in graphic design school, I'm interested. Let me know in the comment section below, and I will talk about it with you. I'll respond to as many comments as I possibly can. If I don't get to yours, I apologize. I try to get to every single one of the comments at some point. Anyway, like this video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out the other awesome content on the channel. As always, you guys, thanks so much for watching, and don't forget, create something awesome today.